In the last task, we used an input type text. In this task, task 6, we're going to use another input type, but this time it will be a number type. So we're going to amend our code. And once again, we're going to have a BR, so it's a line break, followed by a div. And inside the div, we will have a span. And then we will have our label. So remember, the BR, the div, the span, they're all to break our code up into our editor again, just before the end form. So again, we have a div, we have a span, we have a label, and we have the end matches for that. As well as that, then we're going to have another div with a span, and the input type is going to be number. And then we're going to have another span in here, which is age of vehicle correct span, which we may use at some other later stage for styling or to display a message. But the important thing in here is the input type number, which is different from the input type we had earlier, which was of type text. So again, div, span, and the type in here is number. The input type number is a control that provides us with an up and down arrow to select a numeric value. We could add other attributes to the input tag when we were typing it into VS Code, and we could set a max value and a min value. But for now, we've just allowed it to be free. We can go minuses and we can go pluses. One span element has an ID, which is used to uniquely identify the span. So we can have a span and we can give it an ID, and we said that an ID was to give a unique identifier. And therefore, at a later stage, we'll be able to uniquely identify that span and say, I want to do something there. So having an ID allows us to uniquely identify the element from JavaScript, for example, which we're going to do. Or it may be CSS as well, when we want to manipulate it or do something with it. So if we look at our code again, once again, we can see that we have a label for, and that matches this ID, which belongs to the input type number. So if we look at our browser now and do a refresh, we'll be able to see now that this is our label. But when we hover here or click on the label, we can see that there's an up and down arrow in this one, and different browsers will do things in a slightly different way. If you were on a mobile phone, for example, looking at this, you might have what's called a spinner, where you can spin the numbers around. But if I click on the down arrow, you can see it says -1, -2, but I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So I can move up and down. And that's where we said we could have a max or a min. We wouldn't really want to have the vehicle age in years as a minus, but we can change that at a later stage. We're just trying to get an introduction at this moment in time. So all well and good. That is our web page displaying exactly what we asked for